Hello everyone, welcome back on the AgriAdventures platform and the AgriAdventures social platform. Today is a new interview on a new episode. Today we have an interesting opportunity to speak with Ian. Ian Schmidt, I'm not sure if it's pronounced properly. Ian Schmidt is a distiller. So he produces a few products, rum, vodka, a few interesting whiskies, and it seems we're going to have also an interesting gin on their label. And the company is the Tin Shed Distilling Company. Ian, welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Ian, generally, when I do interviews, I like to share a little bit of the background of the person. In this case, you are, I think, or the owner or one of the owners of the company, and you are the distiller. Would you like to tell us a little bit about you as a person before as a business?
Sure. My name's Ian. I'm old, fat, poor, sore, overworked, underpaid, undersexed, stressed, distressed, depressed, going blind, going deaf, going bald. I forget things. But other than that, I'm having a ball and enjoying, living the dream, enjoying my life.
Perfect. That is what I think a distiller needs to have as skills. Otherwise, you won't do it.
It helps that we've got some of this to drink. So that's me. I've been distilling since 2004. Officially, I got my first license to distill way back then with a company called Southern Coast Distillers. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of marriages, we had not the right blend of partners, and that broke up for partnership reasons. And we started the current company in 2013, which is called Tin Shed Distilling. There's myself and my wife, my friend Vic, and his ex-wife, believe it or not, are all the four entities in the business.
Nice. So it's mainly a family or two families business.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. And you originally, are you Australian? Like, obviously, not many people can say they are Australian. Where are you from? Where your family is from?
On my father's side of the family, I think I'm fifth or sixth generation South Australian. And on my mother's side of the family, her ancestors came out to Australia before it was South Australia, so in the 1830s.
Okay, so when and why, you said 2013, so why did you decide to approach the distilling? Why did you decide to learn and become a distiller?
Self-taught. My first experience with distilling was when I was a teenager. My father was in a business manufacturing cider, and one of his partners was a winemaker called Peter Lehman, and they decided to try and make some Calvados, which is a brandy made from apple cider, basically, because he made cider that was easy. Unfortunately, their attempts to make Calvados wasn't all that successful. I'm pleased to say we're a lot better at making whiskey than he was making brandy.
Uh-huh.
Then the next episode with distilling came with my partner, Vic, who's a chef by trade, but actually works as a postie, delivering mail. He and I were leaning on the school fence one afternoon, waiting for the kids to come out of school, and he mentioned that he had been delivering mail that day to a homebrew shop. And in the homebrew shop, they had a still, and he said, I'm going to make some vodka because Vic is Russian, at least his parents were Russian. And I said, don't bother, I've got a still I inherited from my father and he from his father before him. And I actually have a little laboratory still which came out of Pike's Brewery when it was up in Oakbank. And we used that to make some vodka. And then one day, after a particularly hard day of making flagpoles, which is what I used to do for a living, I was complaining to my bride that my body was sore and I was getting old and everything was hurting. And she said, well, why don't you do something more sedentary for a living? And I said, like what? And she said, I don't know, make whiskey or something. And even now today, she says it's the only thing she's only ever had to tell me to do once. She's never told me to do anything once before. It's always at least twice. But to make whiskey, she only had to tell me once. Yeah. And that's how it started.
That's nice. It's a good way to start a business, definitely.
Don't know if we thought about it, we probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, that actually was my second step, because I had the opportunity to visit a little bit your website and read a bit more about you guys. And I was finding interesting information about the way how you've been embracing the business, like hard business. You need a lot of dedication. So when did you start your own label, your own company?
The first one was 2004. This one was 2013.
2013.
And you do need a lot of dedication, because you either need lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money, so really deep pockets and really long arms to make whiskey, or you need a lot of dedication and of having income to survive. So we operated as a part-time business for 5 or 6 years before we slipped into it full-time, simply because when you make whiskey today, you don't get to sell it for at least 3 years. The law in Australia says it has to be aged in wooden vessels for at least 2 years, and the reality is it's got to be at least a year or two longer than that before it's drinkable. So it takes a long time. Your money's tied up for a long time, so you need a lot of money to lay down the stock that you're going to harvest and bottle and sell in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time.
And the product, speaking about the whiskey and about the company itself, did you find it difficult to find your own market here in South Australia, or after that you reached with the product, you were able to fulfill immediately your market? What was difficult?
Initially, it was easy because we did not have very much stock and the market was not very crowded. We were the 5th or 6th Australian producer of spirits in the modern regime, that is to say the boutique or artisanal spirit maker. We're the 5th or 6th licensed distillery in Australia. And in those days, it was pretty easy to sell your product because there was no competition. Nowadays, your product has to be pretty good to sell. It has to be priced halfway attractively, and you have to be able to sell in competition to the other 290 odd Australian craft distillers.
Wow, a lot of competition.
Not to mention the Scottish and American whiskies that are on the shelf already.
Yeah. Exactly. So also that. And do you think that the local consumer goes more with a mixed drink, or they go more with the pure one?
Depends on the consumer. With the single malt market, which is what we're participating in, it's pretty much straight single malt, no ice, no water, no nothing. Sometimes they make a cocktail, but if you look at the statistics, Australia is the second largest market for bourbon in the world.
Okay.
And per capita, we are the largest consumers of bourbon whiskey in the world. Now, that's American whiskey, and some people would argue it's not even whiskey. And I'm not a fan, to be honest with you, but it suits some people. And most of the bourbon and Coke, well, most of the bourbon consumed in Australia is consumed in a can with Coke. So, but the fact that they have the ready-to-drink cans of Jack Daniels and Coke and Johnny Walker and Coke and Jim Beam and Coke, that's where the sales of bourbon occur in Australia. So the vast majority of people drink it with mixers, but that's not our market. You know, our average product price is $150, $160, and the people who like to drink that with Coke and on a Saturday night when they're doing burnouts in the car, they don't spend that sort of money on our product.
No, definitely. It's not that type of market. And speaking about products, I was mentioning, would you like to tell us a little bit about your products, maybe with some characteristics, like why or how to approach them?
Yeah, sure. We'll talk mostly about the whiskey because that's what we're well known for. We make a single malt whiskey. That means it's produced at a single distillery. Most of our whiskey we release is a blend of different casks, all made by us, but we sometimes do a single cask whiskey. A single cask whiskey is a rarer, more exclusive sort of beast, so you can demand more money for it. When you're drinking it, we generally recommend you drink it at about 22 or 3 degrees centigrade. If you drink it colder than that, you get cold taste buds and you can't appreciate the full flavour. If you drink it hotter than that, it's probably a bit more like rocket fuel. Having said that, I've drunk whiskey neat on 45-degree days, but I just have to add a tiny bit of ice to it because it's a bit hard going. It's very heavy going, actually, on a 45-degree day. And when you do drink it, we spend most of our time nosing it. And when I say nose it, you tip the glass right on its side. Today I'm actually test driving a new product with Coca-Cola and ice. Most of our products are aimed at the nerd, the whiskey nerd who is connoisseur.
Yep.
This is a product which is aimed to be more versatile. So you tip your glass right over its side like that, gives you more surface area for the vapours and the flavours to evaporate. And if you pretend my fingertips your nose, I put my nose about 1 centimetre away and 1 centimetre below the glass and have a sniff with my mouth open. And then I do it again halfway up the glass, and I do it again above the glass. Mm-hmm. And when you do that with a Nick whiskey, you discover that it smells different at the 3 places. The glass is actually fractionating the alcohol in the glass. Mm-hmm. So the heavy vapours and the heavy alcohols fall out the bottom. They're the ones typically loaded up with phenols like smoke, or loaded up with tannins in some wine casks. And the floral notes come out the top, and in between you get probably enough the medium weight whiskies. It's a different way to appreciate a drink, and it'll take me 40 minutes to drink a glass of whiskey with 15 mils in it. We're doing it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's not unusual to drink 10 a night. But you're only having 10 mils at a go, so it's not a lot.
No, exactly. Just quick. Well, yes, it's appreciation of a product and the way of, specifically the product that you work and you produce, they need attention. So it's actually a waste, just drink it straight away without appreciate, in my opinion. Then a lot of people, they like to do the shot. That is not how I will use your product. Question, Ian, the people that's following us, where they will be able to find your product? Like, do you have a website? They can contact you, or there are retailers in the area?
Iniquity.com.au is our website. Okay. And we're just about to launch a brand new website next week or so. It's got our products listed on it, and that's the best place to buy them. They are available in bars around town, and it is available in grog shops around town. But to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you which ones, because we personally don't sell it. We've got a distributor who sells it for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a distribution, but the people can buy directly. So you have a Facebook page, do you, for the young people?
Yep.
Instagram.
Iniquity Whiskey.
Okay, perfect. So they can come and have a look. They can see what you're producing, and they can actually go on the website and purchase directly. What's the vision for you and for Iniquity and for the Team Shared Distilling Company?
Okay. For the company, we wish to be viable. We wish to make enough money that we can earn a decent living. We wish to make the best whiskey we can and be recognised for that, which means winning a few awards and medals, the same with the rum and the vodka and everything else. And we do win some medals, and not every time we enter a competition. It's strange that a whiskey can enter one competition, win a trophy and a gold medal, and the next competition scratch around to get a bronze medal. The quality of judging varies, and to be honest with you, the product varies from day to day too. And some days I'll drink a whiskey and I love it, and the next day I go, oh, it's a bit average. And mostly it's the mood you're in. It can be all sorts of things that put you in the right frame of mind to enjoy a whiskey or not, as the case may be. Could be what you had for breakfast. So that's the vision for the company. The vision for me is to keep doing this as long as I possibly can, because you're a long time dead, so you may as well do it while you can. And to help out, I've got 2 boys who, one of them's a distiller now. He's the head distiller at another distillery in South Australia, and the other one's working in a distillery in Queensland. And ideally, it'd be nice if they came and ran the business and paid me to stay home. Distilling is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and the other distillers in the industry, they're all friendly. They're all fun to be with. It's quite a collegiate atmosphere. If any one distiller's got a problem, he can ask anyone else for an answer, and chances are they'll provide it if they know it. Yeah.
That's nice. It's a good community. Oh, just a quick question that's always interesting to me. On the market, what do you think? It's going to be short, but what do you think about the explosion of gins? Just like anywhere.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. We're making gin. We've just started making it. Most distilleries make gin and vodka for cash flow, and they use the cash generated by making gin to make their whiskey. Because you can make gin on Monday and sell it Tuesday, unlike whiskey where you make it this year and sell it in 3 years' time. Okay. So we were back to front because we were funding our industry or funding our business as part-time workers, which is why we don't have a lot of whiskey to sell just at the moment. So we were working Vic as a postie and me as a flagpole maker and taking our pocket money and our profit from those ventures and pouring it into whiskey, which is why we're as broke as the 10 Commandments. But gin, yeah, I've got friends who used to drink 3 bottles of wine a week and they now drink 3 bottles of wine a year and drink 1 bottle of gin a week. And it's quite a change. The wine industry is going to suffer as a result. I think when gin grows up, it wants to be whiskey. And I think when gin drinkers grow up, they want to be whiskey drinkers. It's a more sophisticated product. I really don't know why people are jumping into it so heavily, but I'm glad they are.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much, Ian, for your time. It was a pleasure to have you here on the AgriAdventures platform, on the Radio Italia Uno in Adelaide, and all the other different spots. And we'll see you around, definitely here in South Australia, in sun testing or room testing. You told me about it.
Okay, my pleasure. Slanger, as they say in Scotland.
Thank you. Oh, cheers, we say in Italian. Oh, no, sorry, English. Chin chin.